Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the co-founder of Digital Leadership Associates. I'm also the co-author of the book Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers. Today, really excited. I've got Rob Coyne with me. Rob, you're the general manager for EMEA, Europe, Middle East and Africa for Hootsuite.
Correct, yeah.
Tell everybody where they can get hold of you in terms of your LinkedIn and your Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, sure. So hashtag Hootcoin. It's pretty unoriginal, but that's my Twitter handle, and you can find me on LinkedIn. Very active on LinkedIn. This is month 10. Joined Hootsuite back in January of this year.
So you've been there 10 months. So give us just a quick brief. For people listening, what's your journey to how can I be general manager of Hootsuite?
Well, Tim, you've been part of that wonderful journey when we were at Oracle together many years ago, and back in the day with Siebel and Oracle. I started in a banking career and decided after a very long period of 3 weeks that was quite enough, and decided to leave Barclays and ended up in a manufacturing business making cable assemblies for the pre-regulated or open city, as was back in '85, making cable assemblies to computer wire the entire square mile. Made a living working there initially, then moved in to comms, selling modems at 9.6K bits per second, moving up to the dizzy heights of 56K with US robotics, and helped build the internet, really. Yep. Tim, in terms of working with.
And then you've worked at Siebel and
Oracle, SAP, and then I was approached by Sequoia to join an Israeli tech company, primarily based in the paid media space of paid search, paid social, and spent a lovely 4 years there. Fabulous time. Immersed myself in ad tech, martech, to learn that marketplace, and in January this year turned up at Hootsuite.
Okay, fantastic. One of the things that my audience are interested in is the impact of social. So, you've now been in kind of the social arena with the, as you said, the ad tech, martech business now for nearly 5 years. What are you seeing that the changes that are taking place out there?
Well, you're going to hear loads of cliches, and I apologize for those, but it's been seismic, and it's evolved. Social has evolved far beyond, just branding and conversation. It's gone beyond fans and likes. What we're finding today is that enterprises that are forward-thinking, innovative, looking for an edge, are embedding social at the very heart of their businesses, and that really is, in the evolution of tech platforms and social platforms, the proliferation of social. It's just driving huge cultural change in the way buyers decide on their purchases, and that therefore is impacting both business to business and business to consumer sales.
And do you think that's mobile, or do you think, what do you think that's driving that? Is it millennials coming through, or what is it that's driving it?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a demographic, although, digital natives and millennials, and many of the team here are from that genre. I think it's more the entire fabric of society has been impacted by social, and the implications have been far-reaching, even from political, Brexit, Trump, whatever you want to call it, the rise of nationalism, even to buying what was from traditionally a bookseller known as Amazon, are now doing groceries and all sorts of stuff. It's just seismic. It's just seismic, Tim.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm not sure what the change is, but everybody's on social.
Yeah, for sure. And you just look at the numbers. The amount of time people are spending on Facebook, the amount of time people are on, just look at how LinkedIn has evolved as a platform, as one from what traditionally has been a recruiting platform, has evolved into a targeting, prospecting, and social selling platform, with much besides as well. So And it's we've proven at Hootsuite that the guys that embrace that and evolve as fast as they can with that are far more productive, are far more effective as sales professionals and business people.
So I'll come back to that. In terms of you talk with a lot of, at your role at Hootsuite, you talk with a lot of customers that are in the social arena. And what are they seeing to you? What are they saying to you in terms of what's social and how that's impacting their business?
Yeah, and this could be anything from a financial services organization to a government department to a local borough council, even to the emergency services. In fact, I had dinner with a chief constable of a leading police force who are trying to drive innovation around social, and even from not just reaching out to the community to make their communities feel safer, but actually from an investigation perspective to actually use social as a way of catching the bad guys. It's touching so many business cases now and use cases, Tim, that it's just staggering. And be it trying to sell mortgages to consumers or products to consumers, to protecting communities and investigating crime. I don't think any phenomena has been so far-reaching.
And you said something earlier on about social being the heart of the business. Now we were at a dinner a couple of weeks ago that we jointly organised,
yeah.
and I'm not going to name the company, but there was a chief marketing officer, a CMO, and the sales leader in the same room.
Yeah.
And we asked all of the people, all the CMOs, to say around your social, what were you on a scale from 1 to 10?
Yeah.
And the CMO said that there were a 7, but the sales leader said there were a 0.
Yeah.
And is that because we're seeing there's pockets of expertise and pockets of excellence within organizations, but actually what we need to do is look at social from a far wider perspective?
Correct. Well, I will fess up. I was that sales leader. So, and the reason I said 0 is that I think we're just scratching the surface. There are certainly pockets of excellence, and I can point to certain sales professionals in my group across Europe that are doing fantastic things with social. But it's not far-reaching, it's not wide-reaching company-wide. So when we do that, yeah, we'll get to a 7 out of 10. And I think what was interesting from that dinner for me was there were organizations still requiring education, still at a very nascent stage. And we had utilities, we had financial services, we had law firms, we had tech companies. Each were still trying to understand what this phenomena of social selling is all about. And my advice is just listen to what's going on, learn quickly, and then act upon it, and you will see the results. And I can point to a number of individuals in my group that are using social effectively, and guess what? They're more successful than the other guys. So for me, it's bridging the gap between the top performers and bringing up the rest of the sales organization to drive better productivity and better results.
And so I mean, at that particular event, we had the regulated industries basically having a certain amount of a little contest to see how many regulators they had, and the person who had 9 different regulators won. But it was those regulated industries that generally were still saying, "Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that." It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but the genie's out of the bottle. I understand that you can't do that, but maybe we need to have a discussion to find a way how you can start doing it.
Oh, for sure. When you look at regulated industries, be it financial services, be it telco, be it utilities, I think they have a duty, and the duty to them, I believe, is to educate the actual regulators and get more involved in those discussions and shape the agenda, because it's out there. As you said, the genie's out the bottle, and I think they need to become more active, proactive in terms of setting regulation, and form the agenda. And it's not rocket science. You need to do that, I think, to be more competitive in the industries that play in. I was with a very large insurance company earlier this week where I was sat with the board director for group affairs and comms. And he's saying we're a 3 out of 10. And whilst we're regulated, we need to find ways to get better around social selling, and using it to connect to human beings, our audience. And you know, we can't forget that kind of we're dealing with humans here, and humans want to interact very differently to how they did many moons ago. And it's no longer a seller's market, it's a buyer's market, and they get to choose, they get to make the decisions. So in a business such as this one that I was talking to, had 7 divisions, very federated, they do their own stuff. Some are leading lights, some may well mark themselves 7 out of 10, but some are definitely not. But the reality is they're targeting the same human beings, they're targeting the same people. Get together, get coordinated, collaborate together, and find a way of making it work for you.
And you know, we as buyers expect them to do that, because we don't necessarily see, you know, I use Barclays for our business bank, but my expectation is that there's only one Barclays, even though there may actually, you know, I have my mortgage with Barclays, and I might have, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one company. Yeah, for sure. So given this business, and it was, you know, high net worth individuals, there were mortgages, insurance products, overseas investments, funds that they're launching, and just that. But they're the same individuals. You know, whilst you have a business account with Barclays, you also have a personal account. You also might want a loan at some stage. You might have a credit card. It's the same folk. Yeah. So you mentioned about your you know, a lot of my audience is here to listen about social selling.
Okay.
And about using social in the sales process. What is it? You're saying that you have a number of individuals that are you know, using it and it's working for them.
Yeah.
Can you explain that in a bit more detail?
Yeah, sure. So we've now during our onboarding and our continued development of our sales folk, and interestingly enough, you know, Hootsuite, we're obviously in a high growth industry. Our board has expectations, and its growth typically in double digits, and it starts with a 4 normally. How do I continue that momentum? How do I get that growth? And whilst we can sell more, we can upsell, cross-sell, and all the rest of it, we can have a broader portfolio, we can target other markets. That's fine. But I think the great thing that I believe social selling is starting to enable me to do as a leader of a team here in EMEA is actually get more productivity from the same sales force without taking more risk through hiring, right? And unknown entities that clearly we have a DNA, we have a certain checklist that we go through, but sometimes you can get it wrong. So I don't believe in order to achieve growth in 2018 for this particular business, we have to go mad on the hiring front. I think we can get far more productive and effective by better use of social selling. So we're actually improving our time to ramp in terms of salespeople. Social is absolutely critical to that process. Using networks, using colleagues' networks, using the power of social selling. And whilst that's one component, it's probably alongside the data insight and using data, and there's oceans of data, right? But teaspoons of information. Using that to actually drive the right behavior. So we've got things like first meeting excellence. Everyone's sorting their profiles out. Everybody is trying to compete with each other in terms of their LinkedIn markings as a sales social seller. You know, Point Drive as a tool, Navigator, all those things. You know, setting up hashtags for, I don't know, hashtag Hootsuite Police, so we can start appealing to a police target audience that we want to, as a market example, and we're just getting better and better at that kind of stuff. So
there's a couple of things. First thing is, so I know in a lot of IT companies that the way that you make your number year on year is to hire more salespeople.
Yeah.
Because if you throw more what I would call sales muscle at the problem, and you're a sales orientated organization, then surely that works.
Yeah. So So I don't have the luxury of creating a coverage model that gives me 100% coverage where half the sales force fail and a few succeed, and yet the boss at the top is smiling and sitting happy. I certainly don't have that luxury. I think we're on a different journey, and in terms of, and it's not an ad for Hootsuite, we've typically sold to the PR and comms departments of businesses and done high velocity of low value deals. What we're finding today is that we're doing, again, a bigger volume, but of much higher value deals. But that means touching 6 or 7 other decision makers across different functions. That may be the chief risk officer. That may be the HR director. That may be the sales director, the C-suite. So it's gone from the domain of PR and comms teams in businesses to a much broader remit.
So you're seeing, I know, you know, I'm aware of the Hootsuite products, and it's not just about scheduling and automating anymore. It's a far wider than that, and you're seeing that you're therefore having those conversations right across the enterprise around social.
Yeah, for sure, and we're working with some of the leading B2B businesses as well as B2C, but there seems to be a real drive at the moment in the B2B space in terms of embracing social selling, combining that with data insight, combining that with behavioral changes in terms of the buying cycles and what you need to do differently. And you know, even from selling Siemens, selling power stations, to Sage, selling software to small, medium enterprises, or even Jaguar Land Rover selling cars, it's all being driven by a combination of social platforms, the ability for your people to evolve and sell socially, and also that data insight, and that's driving best practice.
And interesting you pick up about Jaguar Land Rover, because I still think you can sell cars from even though with, you know, in the UK, for people that don't know, you don't buy it from Jaguar, you actually buy it from a dealer. And so in the UK, you actually have to buy it from a salesperson. There isn't a way yet to press a button. But Jaguar, in terms of creating that brand and that awareness, are doing that on social.
Yeah, for sure. They have over 300 social channels. They're trying to monitor performance of content, what works best, what drives. You know, it's not really changed here. Jaguar still very much are all about winning new customers, keeping existing, and growing them. So it's social is seeing as a channel, right, how they can win better, keep those customers, and grow those customers once they have them. And social is a compelling weapon for Jaguar in doing so.
And you're also seeing, in terms of the people that are buying, you're doing a lot of work in public sector.
Yeah.
And then public sector in terms of you police, local government, central government, or federal, as they'd call it in the US.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing the way that people are approaching social is going right across all of the vertical markets.
Oh, for sure. We had a lovely shout out, obviously, with Brexit. Theresa May is trying to appeal to world leaders about doing trade with Britain. There was a meeting in Ottawa where with Trudeau and Theresa May, where Trudeau mentioned Hootsuite and our inward investment in the UK in the same sentence as Tesco's, right? And the reason Trudeau knows about Hootsuite is that Canada has been at the forefront of connecting citizens and communities through the power of social. And this could be anything from crisis management, it could be delivery of services far more effectively and cost effectively, and just making people more aware via the social channel.
So in terms of your salespeople, going back to that, what do you think that they're doing? What is it that they're doing differently?
I think they're taking more time to, whilst we've also looked at other facets of the sales journey, the sales cycle, the opportunity management process, and we put some clear guidelines and stipulate some behaviors we'd like to see. Social is used very much as a way of preparing and planning to make the right calls at the right time with relevant content to the relevant individuals. And even to the point where we've created a team. We now have an army of people called business value analysts that just do that for the sales force. So we've actually removed our outbound sales development rep function. Whilst we receive thousands of leads inwards, and we have a gating system for that, we've removed our outbound because we think it's a thing of the past. And what we're using is these business value analysts to give us insightful data and relevant data on our target clients, target prospects. And we're using that information to drive the conversation in a meaningful and relevant way, and that's getting far better results than an army of outbound sales development reps.
So do you know outbound at all?
No.
Right.
No more now.
Right. So no more cold calling.
No.
Right. Sorry.
Who would think it? Who would think it? No more cold calling. You've got to be hitting those phones. You've got to be doing the numbers. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And when I first joined this business, whilst this is a global activity for Hootsuite, we believe that delivering relevant content in a timely fashion and at the right time to the right individuals is far more purposeful and far more meaningful. You know, I'm having young sales reps now via social getting audiences with chief execs or C-suite officers because it's purposeful, it's relevant, and it's timely.
And I talk a lot of people about how this is a complete fantasy to actually ring people up and think that you can get a conversation with somebody. You know, the CFO of Oracle will not take your call.
No.
Will not give you 20 minutes and will not go for a coffee with you.
No, of course he won't. Of course he won't.
She.
Or she even.
and you know, it's fanciful that actually people still think that this is possible, but you can do it with social.
Absolutely, and understanding what drives them, what's important to them. And the example I gave there was a young 24-year-old sales rep got an audience with the chief exec of British Telecom by reading the press, sending a basho message, connecting, and suddenly he's into the C-suite having meaningful conversations. Yeah. Because it's keeping him awake at night, and yeah. You're not going to get to him via the phone.
No, know? And if you're doing research and you're actually providing some, I don't like the word value, but some insight in terms of, you know, this is going on in your business, and I think that I can help you in a particular way, then you'll get a meeting.
Absolutely.
Rob, we're kind of time is up, but okay. Is there any insight that you'd want to share with the audience at all?
Well,
because I know that you're a wealth of stories. It's always great fun talking with you, because you've usually met the chief executives of somebody somewhere and they've said,
yeah, I did. In terms of advice, well, perhaps I shouldn't give any because that's our secret sauce. But no, I'm joking. Look, listen, learn, and act. And if there's anything you do, if you're running a sales group or you're responsible for a P&L of a business, you've got to embrace social selling, and not just social selling, but also some of the components around that which makes social selling far more powerful. So data insights, sales excellence, sales behavior, that triumvirate of insight, social selling, and behavior is a winner.
Okay, Rob, it's been fantastic. Some great stories. Appreciate that. So you're at Hoot Coyne, and you're Rob Coyne on LinkedIn as well, if people want to connect with you.
Yeah, if anybody wants to contact me, it's rob.coyne@hootsuite.com and hashtag HootCoyne.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rob. Have a great day.
Thanks, Tim. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye now.